Muy buenos días, good afternoon, welcome back to Ibiza NXT Blockchain and Web3 conference. We're starting this afternoon with a very nice talk. He's a guy that definitely inspires me, and I think he's inspired many people in the world. So we're gonna have a talk, a fireside Zoom online talk, a metaverse talk, let's call it like that, about where the megatrends merge, a visualization of the combined future of Web3. Expect futurism, expect the unexpected, and expect being inspired with this guy, Nelson Inno, who is the founder and CEO of WESPARK, which is an innovation agency. And Nelson Inno was born in El Salvador, so yeah, there where they have taking Bitcoin as legal tender. Is a committed innovation enthusiast with expertise in creating, developing new products, services, and digital experiences. And nowadays he's very well known for being an entrepreneur in Frankfurt, Germany, where he founded WESPARK, the innovative agency dedicated to solving big, complex, unsolved problems by designing outstanding and unique innovation methods to tackle the specific root of any challenge. I have seen this guy speaking and I'm really inspired, and I'm just gonna end the introduction by saying that one way to understand Inno's nature is by living by his favorite mantra: be the ordinary, but build the extraordinary. So hello, Nelson, how are you?
Hello, Will, how are you doing? I wish I could be there. I wish I could say that I'm doing excellent, but to be honest, I took so many medicines because I got a nasty flu, that's the truth. So I'm surviving here, but I'm feeling good. My fiancée, she also brought me a little bit of coffee, which I never drink, but today I got it. So you're gonna get some extra energy that I usually don't have. But yeah.
That's great. I mean, I think we have to start making ourselves used to these situations, right?
So, yeah, I mean, it's possible. So at least I can still give a really cool presentation, I hope.
I think it will be, yeah, it will definitely be cool. And let's make like a little fire chat if you wish. I want to ask you some things. I want to pick up on your brain, and I'm not going to be gentle this one, okay? I'm going to go open. So first question that I throw at you is, what is the future of the world?
Oh, geez. So the future of the world, is being built every single day with every single action. Some actions have way bigger weight than others. But at the end, I believe that there are two big futures, especially talking around Web3 and crypto. This is how I wanted to start, and how I want to start a little presentation that I have prepared for you. Maybe I can try to visualize it for you, but what do you say if I just kind of visualize how I see it, or should I present it a little bit later? Will, for you? I have some visuals and stuff to show.
We'd love to see some visuals.
Yeah, perfect. So I'm going to try to answer there, and I'm going to try to be quick so that we can have enough time for questions around. So allow me to present something very quickly. I'm going to just share my screen. 1 second. Share sound. Here, basic. I'm just gonna share here. This one. All right. So I want to present just an idea of a future. So, but something that is really important for me is to kind of take the stuff that already exists. I mean, with stuff I mean megatrends, technologies like social trends and so on, and put them together in a way that makes sense. So in this particular case, Will, I want to show you what happens, for example, in a near future, let's say 5, 7, 10 years, where David wants to buy shoes, right? So nowadays, it's very easy. You will go to store, you buy shoes, or you order online, maybe buy like 3 or 4 different sizes or 2 different sizes and send the other ones back. But I believe that the future could look a little bit more like this. So let's start with David. And you see that David is already wearing some VR glasses or AR, or at least something that lets him go and kind of explore the 3D metaverse that exists already a little bit closer. And what David does is, through his virtual avatar, he's visiting like this shoe store. So it's like a quite nice shoe store because It doesn't, it's not rigid. It doesn't like go by any physics laws and so on. So in this shoe store specifically, there are some different NFTs around shoes that you can buy. So he's like walking into this digital store. Imagine it more like kind of like a Decentraland kind of thing. And then he goes to check a specific project that he likes about some shoes. So he uses a little bit of David uses a little bit of his crypto. I'm not gonna say which crypto it can be, but let's assume if Bitcoin allows decentralized tokenization, it could be Bitcoin. If not, like the other bigger contender is Ethereum. But the thing is that for now, we're just going to say crypto. But David comes and he pays, and he gets an NFT. In this case, he went for these charged shoes NFTs, which is a concept that is even supported by a like regional government. I'm going to get into that a little bit later. And basically, when he gets this NFT, there's obviously a smart contract in the back that kind of manages the whole thing around the shoes. So David wants to, through this smart contract, he can see that this smart contract is going to add value to him once he buys it. And to see how this could work, it's very easy. So the NFT has a smart contract behind, and this smart contract is basically just being all the time governed by a community, in this case, a DAO. So these are the people behind the Charged Shoes project. And basically, with every good decision that they make it so that more crypto comes into it and they can be rewarded with their good decisions, right? But the really cool thing now is that through their management and the good decisions, they will try to find enough value for David so that he gets his virtual shoes to wear in the metaverse, as well as his physical. So for now, we have something that is very common. But what I really want to show, and here's where the megatrends come together, is that there's so much more to what has to go on there in a future where Web3 is very dominating. So in this case, we were talking about this DAO that is all the time managing this NFT, but now let's check the decisions that they have to do in order that these physical shoes reach David back. So in this case, let's say that they will choose between different like places or fabrics where not fabrics, I'm sorry, like industries or which company they want to work with so that they produce the right shoes. So in this case, they didn't go for a big one, the one that you see on the top left, but they went for a quite smaller company. This other company or shoemaking factory is actually also managed by its own DAO and has its own entire ecosystem about how it works. This DAO defines, for example, where the supplies come from, which materials to be used, and so on, and to set the pricing. But imagine that right now the shoes actually get loaded into a car. So, and this car is not being driven by anyone, so it's just driving itself. And the really cool thing that to drive itself, everything what it has to have is an NFT. This NFT is like some sort of driver's permit, not for a person or for the car itself, but kind of like for an autonomous car. So you see like this digital driver, like the company that developed the entire AI schematics of how the car has a behavior and drives around, is being stored into this NFT, this information, which is the company behind, plus the behavior, like analyzes like history of how it's been driving, the history, whether this car's been, is still vigent, vigente, I'm sorry, in Spanish, I'm just changing, whether this car is still allowed to drive, whether it had enough maintenance, all this information is stored in this NFT. And the really cool thing is that allows the car, for example, if it will go through a toll or something, it allows the car to pay, because this NFT also has its own wallet back. So the car, in the real world, you cannot leave your car just with a wallet and some cash somewhere and then just let your car kind of like, let the people take the wallet and then just say like, okay, I'm not going to take the $10, I'm just going to take $5, right? Or it cannot like do anything. But in Web3, since the car has its own wallet, it can make payments not only to humans or receive payments from humans, but also make or receive payments from machines. So, for example, if the car wants to stop because it has been defined by another DAO that manages this like logistics of cars that deliver different products, in this case, shoes. They have defined that the car cannot drive with with less than 20% battery, as an example. So the car reaches 19%, it drives itself to some sort of inductive parking slot. It has an inductive plate, like very much how you wireless charge your phone. It comes to this place, the car communicates with the machine, and the machine can access the wallet and see, okay, this car has enough funds to pay for the energy. And then it does like, for example, with atomic swaps or some sort of other mechanic, it's just making these little payments and giving like the wattage back with several microtransactions until the car is fully loaded. And then at the same time, so it gets very crazy, because I was saying that you can imagine that the inductive parking company could also be in its own independent DAO with its own independent like opinion and decisions that even give more value to the people using the services and the DAO itself or not. Now this is the last part. I'm trying to not go just out and out and out, because it gets very intense. But here is Will, and to everyone else looking, where it gets very interesting. So this other company from the inductive parking, they at the same moment, with every time that they create value and sell energy for profit, they bring incentives back to the DAO. They pay electricity that is supplied in real time. For anyone who knows how electricity works, you know that you always have to be managing the grid in real time and just supply the right amount of energy, not too much, not too less, else you get a blackout. So it can be doing these payments in the real time, and it can even pay the taxes right in the moment, so that there has to be no taxing afterwards, like at the end of the month, at the end of the quarter, or at the end of the year. So it's just paying all the taxes to the government that kind of checks all of this. And the really cool thing is that all the people that participate in this in the economy that this government is regulating in somehow, they can also decide, for example, where the government sources electricity, so that they have these options of electricity available to the grid. But at the very end, it was all that David gets his shoes. So imagine that the shoes already came to his house. So we already know like different projects such as Steppen and so on. And there are many other projects that really try to get people fit and so on. But it's very important that projects are sustainable, and I mean it long term. So in this case, the government, through the Department of Health, the Ministry of Health for maybe a region, let's say like Europe, for example, put aside a budget that is used to allocate funds to the steps that people do. So let's say that people that have this NFT and are working in Europe, because they say that the government saw that people are getting unhealthier and unhealthier. Now they get a little bit of crypto back for using and for holding these NFTs and using the shoes on a weekly basis. It's not gonna be something that you can live out of it, but imagine if you're walking, you can buy something between a pack of milk or a little lunch for two. Then that's something that can be sustainable in the long term. So yeah, at the end, I just wanted to show you very, very quick how just in this mini future scenario, we brought from staffless stores with AI NPCs, for example, that are selling the things and so on, digital twins, VR, metaverse, sustainability topics, wearable technologies, smart contracts, DAOs, crowd actions, autonomous mobility, smart cities, future of work, industry 4.0. It's just like different megatrends, and they are all converging together. So it's extremely important that people understand that, I mean, all of these technologies are there already. They are just working separately. So if we try to combine them and we put things together and we add value to the people, then these technologies will proliferate, and Web3 will proliferate as well. It's just going to grow. And at the end, just remember that all of this is around David buying some shoes. And we saw interesting concepts that you could just like expand. Like imagine like the car driving itself, just driving around, checking Uber, checking like the different taxi apps, Cabify, and so on, and based on which conditions you can be like, okay, drive no more than 3 people at max, just in this 10-kilometer radius around. And for this and this pricing, it could just be making money for you while you go on vacation and take your Hyperloop somewhere else, right? Or the concept that governments itself can be can be all steered by people acquiring citizenships as a service. Imagine just like your citizenship is an NFT, and you can change between citizenships depending whether you participate on an economy or if you are regionally and physically like living in a space that is controlled by a government. So these kind of things could help you choose in a democratic and more easy way. whether like people pay for tolls or private streets, like how the water treatment is done, what sort of infrastructure for internet is being used, how police behaves, and so on, or where the electricity comes from. So it's a very futuristic, and I could have done an entire presentation just out of this. Or maybe one of my favorite examples, and this is the last one that I show you, is how the future of work looks like. I mean, you have to imagine that at least most of the people, at least 51% of the last billion of people that are coming to this world, they are more on the Asian side. So they will very likely never see a computer or use a computer as you do. So many of them will be working from their phones, but these phones, they hold as much or more power than any computer that you might have right now, because what they will be doing, they will be cloud streaming from a computer based in a server somewhere close, and they will be able to access all these performance and power to create content, to solve problems, and to add value back to society. At the same time, people don't have to go to the work directly anymore. They could have a smart contract that is, for example, giving them a work somewhere else. Imagine that David is working now for the little company in the top left, and this company does 3D models. So he does this from home, and based on the rules from the smart contract, he's going to be being paid automatically in the smart contract. Let's say that he gets a WESPARK token. This is my company, by the way, so it's just like a quick stupid example, but just like to say how it could be in the future. They have, at the same time, as long as they are working, a WESPARK token that allows them to go to this like metaverse world and platform to educate themselves in a very visual way more about how Web3 works and so on, or about innovation methods, which is what we usually do in the traditional. But the latest part is that there is this really cool concept called social mining. And if you haven't heard about it, I told you this is one of the most enthusiastic things that I believe that are happening in the Web3 world, because they are just adding value to everyone at the same time in a totally sustainable way. It's basically like traditional companies working in the Web3. But the idea is, let's say that an example, you have a company on the left and they produce cars, right? This is a very normal traditional company, not a crypto, not Web3, not NFT, nothing. They just produce luxury cars. So they say that they want to improve their sales on 2%, and they have a 10 million budget to create an ad and to just like spread it around the world so that they can get their sales a little bit higher. So what they will usually do is they take 10 million, they reserve maybe 3 million, give it to an agency. This agency creates a video, maybe pays half of 1.5 million to the team with the director and so on, cash out like 200,000, and then the rest is paid to a very famous actor that just comes to this ad and the car just driving it, just being just being cool. And then people one time on YouTube or somewhere or multiple times to see an ad, because they have used the other 7 million of the budget just to spread this video around. And then you see this famous person driving the car, and maybe you consider buying one or not. And that's it. So you have like the entire community of the people just like seeing an ad, and maybe the only value that they get is, okay, they are a little bit entertained, and the car company used 10 million budgets just to increase the sales. Okay, I hope they reach it. But on the other hand, in the future, and here's the end of the example, through social mining, there can be a company like the one that you have in the middle. So what this company does is they help the company connect with multitudes of people who are heavily like super engaged, who are heavily talented, and who could solve the same problem of the company, just to create enough content and spread it online so that they can sell their 2% more of cars. So as an idea is, this company in the middle, through the concept of social mining, what they could do is they could take this 10 million budget, take 1 million as profit, and then the rest of the 9 million, they will create different tasks. And they will, for example, tasks that, let's say that the luxury car owners, they can just create a video, for example, that is part of a task. And when they submit this video to this company in the middle, to this social mining company, then they can just approve it, and then they will be rewarded in crypto. So basically now the luxury car company, through this social mining concept, can deliver the value not to an agency so that some people are reaching sales, but to the entire customers, and even potential customers, give them tasks, let them understand the brand way better while they understand their own customers better, just getting very close. And then at the end, when they do so, this like $10 million, at least 90% of it went to all the social miners out there that are like doing this stuff. There's an example, like one of the companies that I really like doing this is called DAO Labs. You can check them online. But yeah, but this is something that is also going on. And when you ask me how the future looks like, this is how I think that it looks like. So at the very end, what I really believe is that, wait, I can show this a little bit later for if people want to connect. What I really believe is that there are two big futures going forward. And I'm sorry that I had to go all around. This is like my Salvadorian DNA, right? This is the answer. It's like, I believe there are two big futures going forward. In one future, fiat goes down to value close to zero. Some cryptocurrencies go highly up. They rule the world. It's more decentralized now. But together we have an extremely chaotic, violent, it's just such a big change, but it's just chaotic transition, right? This is one future. And then the second future, I know I'm not going to say that fiat remains. That's not going to happen. Fiat goes down like to a value closer to zero. Crypto is king. It's like some coins go up. This is how people transact, how people do all their financials, how people share value around in the world. But we have a more civilized transition. So I believe that we're going towards number one, if you ask me. So it is up to us to visualize and to show to people that are not into crypto how the future could look like, what the benefits are, also to explain the challenges that we have, because there are many, many challenges. We cannot just like talk about the good things and not about the bad ones. And if we do, maybe, and just maybe, we can make this second future a more possible scenario. So there you go. I hope that answers the question. Yeah, I cannot hear you, but I can imagine them. Yeah.
Yeah, we were just having an applause for you. Let's make another one now that he can hear us.
Thank you.
I knew asking you that question would bring some tail. I mean, what can I say?
I don't know.
I don't know when to start.
I thought you drank a lot of coffee. I never drink coffee in my life, so I'm gathering this energy from the past and the future. I'm not kidding. I would love to be there.
I love talking to you about the future when you are feeling sick. It's quite amazing. No, really, Nelson, that's amazing. And I knew this talk was going to be really interesting. Starting with the end, these two scenarios that you comment, they're like two different scenarios, quite similar, but what I get is that the difference is that one is like a smooth transition and the other way is violent and basically like there's more things dying, not only humans, like there's violence in that process, and that the difference is, as I hear you saying, is in education and inspiration, and how are we inspired to go into this new world, if we're in like a more fearful way, resistant way, or we're actually proactively trying to create a space where we can all relate. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I can 100% agree. In innovation management, you usually go and see that there are two ways of innovating. So basically, one is, I cannot do the quote right, but it's something that the needs that you have and the most pressing needs is the mother of innovation. It's kind of something like this. Like in Spanish, you would say like la necesidad es la madre de la inventiva, de la invención. But the other way, and this is not nice, right? Because you really have to go and be in this urgent situation where you really need to innovate. And the other side, the other extreme is where you have people that are, being educated, that they know the skills, that they have the knowledge around megatrends, the skills on how to turn these ideas into value, and especially who have this mindset of being positive, of trying out, of knowing that they will fail, but they still want to solve a problem more than just develop an idea. And if you get into that part, which, where education plays an extremely, extremely big role, then we can have a more civilized transition. But the biggest problem is, as we know, is that most of the people don't have any financial education. Myself, from 1 year ago, I wasn't into Web3 or crypto or anything. I just went into it with the speed that you have no idea, because I just got hooked, down the rabbit hole, but still being open and checking everything what's going on, the good, the bad, the ugly, and the amazing too. So it's been maybe like around 800 hours of learning since 1 year ago when I started, and this allows me to kind of like see how things go with the normal traditional world. Even though I had to learn a lot about the normal traditional world before I can learn about Web3. So yeah, education, totally like where we need to focus. It's even if you ask me. So we have from the UN these like sustainable development goals. I don't remember if they were like 17 or 18, but something like this. But the number 4 is like higher the level of education. I believe that if you just concentrate in that, eventually with the time you can correct all the other 16 that we have. Back to you.
Hello. Great.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for this tennis game. I really appreciate the fact that you just said that you have been only 1 year into Web3.
I'm sorry, I mute myself because I need to clear my nose. Sorry. Yes, I only been 1 year really actively doing something. I don't like to say that just by reading articles, watching YouTube videos that I was in. I believe that to be in, you really have to do something. And I had a quite funny start. I started in Cardano. The people always ask me why I started with Cardano, because a little bit less known. But there are two things. One is one person that I know, and truly his Benjamin is his name, and he's, I believe, truly my first real LinkedIn friend. I mean, we never met in person. We have like done some Zooms together, but we mainly just talk over LinkedIn since maybe 1.5 years or something. It's incredible. And he made his own NFT project in Cardano, and this is how I started, by doing like a little project of NFTs that at the end, due to my lack of knowledge, it fell. I mean, since the moment that I created it, it was doomed to fail. It didn't have any way of having incentives back to it and so on. But yeah, at the end, like 2 or 3 months ago, I had to rebuy. I didn't have to, but I wanted to. I rebuy like the NFTs at the same mint price back from the people that asked me to it. So a good like 1/4 to half of the project asked me to rebuy the NFTs back, and I mean it's quite a blow. But yeah, I mean, I believe that it was the right thing to do. So this is how I got started. And due to the mistakes that I did, I had to learn not just fast, but extremely, extremely fast. And yeah, so it's been only 1 year. But yeah.
Yeah, definitely that has been a rapid onboarding on Web3 by your side. Intense and rapid. But I really love your approach to innovation and how you see that learning and seeing future bright side of innovation can lead us to actually do our steps into a brighter future. So I know you know a lot about this, but considering all the world you've just showed us, you just showed us how to put together all these mega trends, whether that's NFTs, metaverse, smart cities, self-driving cars, new jobs, new industries, social mining. You just put everything, all the buzzwords into one big schema that makes sense. So I love the idea of innovation. My question to you now is, how can one learn into that, and are governments part of that education? What's the role of governments? Are governments allowing us to see that innovation, allowing us to see that future, or they're blocking it in a way? What's the role between government, citizens, and who's going to be the one who's going to allow us to, foresee that innovation and start building towards it?
Yeah. Okay. So this is a really big question. I'm gonna start with the end. Who is going to allow? There's not a single person that can do it. It's gonna be a mix of everyone working together. But I can give you an example of how I try to be part of this group of who's gonna do that. So I started is when I saw all these mistakes that I have done, I talked with one friend who I knew was into crypto. So he's like, and I hope that he's called Abdul, and he's like Bitcoiner since 2012. I hope that I said it right. So he kind of like pointed me out, is like, okay, Nelson, you need to read the Bitcoin Standard. So I started there. And from there, I started going into everything else, just like into every event that I could, into every Twitter space that I could, and so on. And very quickly, I started getting more picky about, what actually delivers value or not. Once I have put at least maybe 150 hours, 200 hours of understanding, I said, is okay, I'm going to start summarizing this in more of a normie language for other people. To the point that eventually at the beginning of this year, I was already like coaching and teaching the government of El Salvador in principles of crypto. My idea was that, and I have to say this is very important for the context, I was doing this for the lawyers who wrote the Bitcoin law after they wrote the Bitcoin law. So what I told them is, look, I'm going to show you the principles on which the entire cryptocurrency industry stands, so that if you ever create a law and amendment, you will know for sure whether you're doing something that people is not going to support you with, or that there's a chance that they might support you with this. So I started just visualizing it. I'm not kidding. It looks like drawings from a 12-year-old. The draw is okay. Not a bad 12-year-old drawer, but just like doing sketches and just trying to show people, if anyone wants to learn, there's a skill that you can acquire. It's called visual facilitation. Like in Germany, there's this company called BKBlo, or Build a Cut and Block. It's a way of learning it. But basically, it's just you need to have the skill, as I was saying, how to, for example, draw or sketch, which is not too difficult. If you put, I don't know, like 40 hours of time, I tell you, you will be able to even live from it. And then the other hand is to have the knowledge. So if you have the knowledge around what's happening in Web3 and you know how to sketch it, and the last part is always in the triangle, and you might remember, because I mentioned it a little bit before, is to have this like mindset or motivation to, okay, I want to be that person that is taking this context, visualizing so that I can add value to more people. If you have these three things, the knowledge of Web3, the skills to visualize things for others, and three, the motivation or mindset to do it, then that's how things happen. But yeah, I mean, you have to still be open to, and it's part of the mindset, to hear the challenges that the government see and kind of like find the compromise between. But that's how it starts. I don't know if that answers the question, at least partly.
Definitely, you're giving us the blueprint on how to be innovators, and we really appreciate you for that. Let's do something. Let's use some of the last minutes we have together. Also, I would love to open the question for the audience, but let's try to ground some concepts, because still some of us humans are trying to get our heads around what is the metaverse, what are NFTs, what are tokenization, DAOs, or even how they work together. How would you actually take that word metaverse? Like, what do you think is the metaverse right here, right now? And what are people not getting about it?
Yeah, so sure, okay, that's a really big question. That's an extremely big question, as big as the metaverse, I could say. But okay, so there are like two schools of thought that I have seen and discovered. I'm definitely into one, and I am biased because I just like 3D. But there's some people that kind of see the metaverse as just kind of this like all these platforms and technology being connected. It doesn't have to be very visual, doesn't have to be 3D or 2D, but just like things seamlessly like interacting with each other. And there's the school of thought that think that, okay, the metaverse is going to be more of a 3D thing. I'm in the second, and I will explain my bias, and then I will answer the question. My bias is because I believe in 2017, I started with VR. For several months, I had to put some of my salary on the side to get a strong enough computer and a used VR headset. It was an HTC Vive. That's where I started to kind of start exploring. And when you start meeting people, in something that could be similar to what people imagine in the metaverse, which was just like 3D games or 3D social platforms where you meet with other people in VR, you see that the essence of who we are really transports 100% without our physical package. So you never know how the person looks, but I can tell you for sure, you know with whom you're talking. All your other senses, like if you have a good feeling about someone, a bad feeling, whether you can become real friends or end up doing business, they are all there. Maybe the only information that I believe that we lose is like pheromonal information, or when you shake someone's hands, this gives a lot of information to our body to give decisions. But still, it's more or less okay how it works. So what I mean is, now if we have platforms that allow people to connect in a way better way that chat or video calls can do, then I believe that it's just a matter of time, and as technology is going forward, that you will have people just working more and more often into these 3D environments. So I believe that, for example, through the concept of social mining, if you can find a way how people in different countries can, like add value by working part-time, doing something in the metaverse, maybe being a, like, let's call it a metaverse host or hostess, selling some products and so on. And if they get enough value back in terms of crypto or the fiat that they cash out of it, then you can really spark this movement. So in the metaverse, so that it really works, so that if you have these like different 3D platforms and worlds where you can walk by and so on, you really need to first create a metaverse that is accessible by the last 1.5 to 2 billions of people that enter the internet, not for all the other ones that were before, because it's not for them, right? So that's why I'm not a big fan of when I see projects just releasing a really cool video of these like super nice cities in the metaverse, like these fancy buildings, super fancy graphics. I am just sure, with all the knowledge that I have right now, I might be wrong, but I am sure with my opinion that this is not, that when I see a video like this, it's not a project that is going to work out, because the real metaverse is way more cartoony. And so that how I will rate a metaverse, if you see people really interacting, like for real, how human interactions work in the metaverse, that's a project that you can believe in. If you don't see any human interactions and you see that it's populated and so on, it's mostly NPCs or non-playable characters, just like doing simulations that they are talking, but there's one person walking very rigid in this like super futuristic and cool but dystopian metaverse future, then hands away, or wallet away from it. But yeah.
Great. Thank you, Nelson. Amazing. Actually, going back to humans and non-NPCs that you can find in the metaverse, maybe, another thing that I really liked from your talk was the concept of social mining, and actually the fact that DAOs are actually the way we organize each other to have different companies, business, that they interact with each other in different kinds of ways, using wallets, self-driving cars, or whatever system. So since today we're having a lot of talks about DAOs, starting from the next talk, how do you see current state of DAOs?
Yep. So basically, I believe for me if we assume that there are two states, right? One is like, okay, DAOs cannot really succeed or work, or DAOs can really work. I believe that for the later one, where they work, there has to be some sort of relationship to the systems that we already have in place. So some people might be like, come on, no, like let's say let's the government, things like this. But I believe that for Web3 to really ramp up to the more like normie people and so on, you really need to build these bridges between. So what I want to say is, for DAOs to kind of really be seen as 100% real entities, which, I mean, some people say they are, and I kind of like think that they are already, as long as they're producing value, but you still need to have this like link to the government. And one example, like the government that is doing things very well, is the government of Liechtenstein with their tokenization law, because it's wide enough that it allows different types of tokens to come in and then be evaluated later, but rigid enough that, for example, you can allocate real assets from the real world to a digital token. In other words, it's like you could, for example, sell NFT that is linked to a piece of land to someone, and then it's already something that, for example, will legally hold in court in Liechtenstein if something will not go well. So this is where DAOs really start to like make sense. So the thing is that at the same time, there are no 100% proven legal structures right now that can hold a DAO in the long term, like assuming that the Web3 and crypto really ramps up. So there's going to be some chaos there. I know that, for example, the government of El Salvador is really trying to solve that problem now. But it's just like you really have to get the smartest people around from both sides to find this compromise, to find what is possible to do. Just as an idea, the government approached me at the beginning and asked me, so Nelson, look, we would like to do this DAO, but I don't feel that DAOs don't work with how you open a company in El Salvador. And there's basically like 6 steps, and the first 5 is like non-compatible. So you have to create those, and once you do, then DAOs are going to take distraction from the 99% of the people that are not there yet. But I mean, personally, I think it's a great idea as long as they create value. The only problem is, and why this bridge has to exist, is when things go wrong, there needs to be a way of solving things, because I have seen in some projects that have absolutely no link to regulations when doing like their own token releases, or just going out with the tokens. Then the money is stolen, big rug pull, but there's absolutely no way of pursuing the people that stole from everyone who believe in them, as an example. So that's why these things are good for everyone at the very end, but they are good if they are done right. And to be done right, you have to get both crypto and Web3 people to talk with people from the governments in a civilized manner. It's part of the transition.
Great, Nelson. Thank you very much. Let's have 1, 2, 3 minutes for anybody who wants to ask anything to Nelson.
Please.
Is there any questions? There's so many that we cannot make them all at the same time.
I will try to answer them in 20 seconds or less.
Oh, that's a good proposition. Anyone has any question for Nelson? I think he's not afraid of any question.
No. If I don't know, I will tell that I don't know.
Okay. Well, apparently today in Ibiza we're run out of questions. But anyway, Nelson, I'm really thankful for your point of view and your perspective. Always, it's always a pleasure and very inspiring to talk to you. I just want to thank you so much this time that we've been together, and we're gonna move on with DAOs for tonight. So, ladies and gentlemen, Nelson Inno.
Sure. Thanks a lot. I'm glad that I survived, and maybe for like 10 seconds, I would like to just leave my contact here. So if anyone wants to contact me, here you go. That's me, Nelson Inno. The QR code there, maybe give some seconds for people to take their phone out. This links to basically any place, my Twitter, LinkedIn, and so on. So you can contact me in your platform of your choice. But yeah, else if not, just look for Nelson Inno, Nelson Innovation, or Nelson WESPARK, like my company is called. You will find me, and whichever questions that you have, just I'm more than open to share my opinion. Specifically, if it's questions that are moving important things forward, just go ahead and shoot.
Yay.
But thanks a lot, Will. And I'm very sorry that I couldn't be there. I really, truly wanted to be. I mean, we even had like a couple of days of vacations right after the trip, so we lost everything, the hotels, the flights, everything. But I'm happy that I could gather the energy to be here and share, like how I see the future of Web3 and the megatrends with all of you guys.
We're happy to have you here too, in whatever format. Thank you very much, Nelson. Thank you for being sick and still being with us.